Smart lighting is one of the easiest ways to take the look and feel of your space to the next level. However, when you're just getting started, the whole realm of smart lights and honestly smart home tech in general can be insanely confusing. Well, today I'm going to be taking you through everything you need to know about buying smart lights in 2025, so that you can take your space from looking like this to looking something a little more like this.
Now first off, what do we mean when we say smart lighting? Because that could mean a number of things. We're not talking about crazy light shows that require hours and hours of setup and coding, although don't get me wrong, those things are awesome, but in my mind, I think of smart lighting as having three main components. Firstly, ease of use. Smart lighting should make your life easier, not harder. This is such a common misconception with smart home tech. People buy a bunch of smart bulbs, throw them into their light sockets, and think that they've made their lives easier by centralizing all their lighting controls into their smartphone. But what they've actually done is taken their light switches, already conveniently mounted on their walls, and shoved them all into the much less convenient location of an app on their phone. It's inconvenient for them and the other people that they live with. In the words of Paula Schoutston, you should not have to adapt to technology. Secondly, everything needs to work seamlessly in the background and not require any extra effort from those living with it. You should not, and I mean should not, have to take out your phone or yell at a voice assistant to turn on the lights as you enter a room. You just shouldn't. Instead, this should happen automatically, for example at sunset or by using a sensor. Manual controls, like phone apps and voice assistants, should be saved for when you want to do things out of the ordinary, like setting all of the lights in a specific room to a certain color or temperature. And finally, for when things do go wrong, manual, dumb controls need to be available to use instead. We all know that technology is never 100% reliable, so it should come as no surprise that the same is true of smart lights and smart home tech. No matter how many hours you spend setting up your automations, you simply can't expect everything to work all the time. In these rare instances, you still need to be able to use the devices around your house, even if they're not connected to your smart home. Most smart bulbs will act like a normal light bulb when powered off and back on from a physical switch. Most smart plugs have buttons somewhere on the plug itself that allow you to turn it on and off physically, and smart light switches will always continue to work from the physical switch, even if they're not connected to your Wi-Fi. Keeping these three things in mind will help you, in my opinion, create a rock-solid smart lighting setup that anyone can live with and that you can enjoy having. Next up, let's talk protocols, and I promise this is not nearly as confusing as it sounds. It's really important that you understand how your lights are going to be communicating with each other though, because it can save you a ton of time in the future and help to make sure that you know what you're buying. Wi-Fi based lights are the most common and by far easiest to set up. You unpack them, set them up with an app, and you can be up and running within a matter of minutes. But wait, because these things have some drawbacks. As the name implies, these lights connect directly to your home network via Wi-Fi to report their status and allow you to control them. However, each light that you add to your setup creates a new device on your network, which can slow down your Wi-Fi and make your whole setup incredibly unreliable. So if you plan on decking out your entire house with these things, I recommend going with Zigbee or Z-Wave based lights instead. These utilize their own separate Zigbee or Z-Wave network to communicate with each other. Now to make everything work, you are going to need a separate hub or bridge that plugs into your router via Ethernet, but unlike Wi-Fi based lights, each smart light that you add doesn't create a new device on your network. So instead of 30 devices on your network, it's just one. Now, if you're only going to be installing a few smart bulbs here and there, then absolutely you can get away with only using Wi-Fi lights. And depending on which router you have, your home network may be able to handle more Wi-Fi devices than others, but that's obviously your call and not mine. To be honest, really none of this is my call. But when in doubt, spend the extra money and get yourself a Zigbee or Z-Wave system. Trust me, you won't regret it. Even if you are just starting out with 2 or 3 bulbs, getting a Zigbee system from the very beginning will allow you to expand your setup in the future without having to worry about clogging up your home network. So you're probably yelling at your screen right now, wondering why we're 4 minutes into the video and I haven't talked about any of the products that I actually use or recommend. Well, lucky for you, that's what we're getting into right now. Full disclosure, this video is not sponsored. I'm not being told what to say by anyone. I bought all of these products with my own money, and I will be giving you my raw and honest opinion on everything. So, let's get started. Smart bulbs are probably the most obvious part of smart lighting that everyone knows about. The concept is simple. Replace your existing light bulbs with smart bulbs and gain access to controls that allow you to change the brightness, color, and temperature of each individual bulb. Philips Hue is my brand of choice when it comes to smart bulbs because of their reliability, ease of use, and their ability to connect to pretty much any smart home platform out there. They use Zigbee, so you will need an additional hub that plugs into your router to connect them to the internet, but they do have a line of Bluetooth compatible lights that you can use without the hub to kind of try everything out and make sure it's something that you'll like. Also, they are a little bit more on the pricey side, especially if you decide to purchase accessories like their motion sensor and dimmer switch, but I feel like I can't stress this enough, you get what you pay for. I bought a Hue starter kit almost 7 years ago, and it came with a hub and 3 bulbs, 2 of which are still working to this very day. Not to mention, their warm and cool whites are very accurate, and the colors are very rich. Cheapo Wi-Fi bulbs that you find on Amazon though, yeah, they probably won't last nearly as long. Installing the bulbs is incredibly straightforward. You remove your existing bulbs and put the smart bulb in its place. That's basically all there is to it. In order for your smart bulb to actually work though, the fixture that it's connected to needs to be powered on all the time. So if it's a lamp, the physical power switch needs to be turned on, and if it's a ceiling light, the wall switch, well, needs to be turned on. This is where one of the biggest issues with smart bulbs rears its ugly head. If you cut power to the bulb by turning the physical switch off, the bulb is no longer connected to your smart home, and, well, it's no longer very smart. To make matters even worse, most smart light bulbs will default to full brightness when power is cut and then restored. So if your power goes out and then comes back on in the middle of the night, all of your lights will turn on to full brightness, likely waking up everyone in your house. This is why it's important to choose smart lights that allow you to choose the default power on behavior. For Philips Hue lights, you can change it so that if the power was off when power was cut, the lights will stay off when power is restored. This way, you're not waking anyone up and the lights will stay off when power comes back on. But you may be wondering, if I want to connect lights in my ceiling to my smart home, do I need to purchase individual smart bulbs for every fixture that I have in my ceiling? No, you do not. This is where smart switches come into play. You replace your existing wall switches with smart switches that control the lights on your ceiling or on your walls or wherever. These things are ideal for places where a single fixture has multiple bulbs and you don't want to have to purchase a bunch of separate bulbs, or in places like kitchens where there's typically a bunch of separate can lights in the ceiling all wired to the same switch. Unfortunately, I don't own any smart light switches myself, so I can't offer much of an opinion on them, but I do have one of Lutron's smart fan switches, and let me tell you, this thing might just be the most reliable smart home product I've ever purchased. I've had it for almost 3 years now, and it's gone offline a grand total of once. Once. In 3 years. That is incredible. Now obviously I haven't actually tested any of them, but I've heard that their smart light switches are just as good, and most of them don't even require a neutral wire, which is nice if you have an older house. So feel free to offer any opinions or product recommendations in the comments below. I just thought I'd throw this out there because these are most definitely an option. Unless of course you rent your place, then yeah, don't go around trying to switch your light switches. Alternatively, if you're trying to automate lights that plug into a wall, you can use a smart plug and they'll have virtually the same effect as a smart switch. These things are useful if you're trying to automate lights that won't take a standard smart bulb, or really anything that just has an on-off switch. TP-Link Casa has been my favorite brand of smart plugs these past couple of years because they're affordable, reliable, and work with pretty much all popular smart home platforms. They are Wi-Fi based though, so just be mindful of how many you're putting on your network. Alright, time to talk about one of my favorite parts of smart lighting, light strips. Light strips are those bendy, sticky strips of LEDs that you see around the perimeter of literally every teen's bedroom these days. And I love these things because they're so versatile it can make anything look way better than before. But as with everything that I mentioned in this video, there are some things that you need to be aware of before you go out and buy a bunch of stuff. The main thing to keep in mind is what type of LED strip you're buying. Most commonly, you'll find strips boasting the titles RGB, RGBIC, RGBW, and RGBWIC. I'm going to go through each one of these one at a time to hopefully make everything as understandable as possible, but we'll see how that goes. RGB strips have one LED diode consisting of the standard red, green, and blue color channels. This means that every color that you create is going to be made by combining one of these 3 colors. Now most times this isn't an issue, the only time where it is an issue is when you try to create white. Oh, well, that's super easy. All you gotta do is turn on 3 colors and then you'll make white, right? No, because we're combining all 3 colors to make white ourselves, the resulting color is gonna have this kind of coolish undertone. And if you try to make a warmer white using only RGB, that's when it starts to become really noticeable. This isn't ideal for places like a living room or a bedroom where you want the warm and cool whites to be as accurate as possible. This is where RGB strips come into play. As you may be able to guess, the additional W after RGB means that these strips come with the standard RGB color diodes, but also include a dedicated white diode for creating white colors. This means that the warm and cool whites on an RGB strip will be significantly more accurate than that of an RGB strip, making it an ideal choice for a bedroom or any other space where you would want to unwind and relax. Now that's all well and good, but the 2 strips types that I've covered so far are only capable of displaying one color at a time. This is where RGBIC strips come into play. These are basically the same as RGB strips, except that they allow you to display multiple colors on it at once, or have some sections on but other sections off. And RGBICW strips are the exact same thing, but they also have that white diode that I just discussed. So it's really quite simple. RGB strips are the most basic of light strips with only one color diode and only being able to display one color at a time. And RGBICW strips are the exact opposite. They're equipped with RGB color diodes, white diodes, and the ability to display multiple colors at the same time. As for product recommendations in this category, I've been very satisfied with Govee's LED strips these past couple of years because they're affordable, pretty high quality, and easy to set up. The warm and cool whites are meh, but Govee doesn't have many RGBW strips, so that's most likely why. Philips Hue sells an RGBW strip though, and it's just as high quality as their smart lights. Warm and cool whites are incredibly accurate, and the colors are very saturated. The only downsides are the price and the fact that it can only display one color at a time. But at the end of the day, it's ultimately up to you to decide which features you care about most and which ones you can live without. Okay, so bulbs, switches, and strips are the 3 kind of categories of smart lighting, if you will, but there's one more important thing we need to talk about before we have the perfect smart lighting setup, and that's accessories. These things make your setup easier to use both for you and for the other people that you live with, and open the door to a bunch of new automations. Most commonly, you'll come across things like buttons and sensors, and these allow you to control your lights without having to take out your phone or talk to a voice assistant. I said this at the beginning of the video, and I'm gonna say it again, you need to have some kind of manual control available wherever you have smart lights, because you never know when you might need it. Once again, Philips Hue takes the cake in my opinion when it comes to smart lighting accessories with their switches, sensors, and other accessories that just never seem to go offline. But you can find similar products all over the internet, and what you need is going to depend on what smart home platform you use. I'll leave you with this. Try to have at least one manual control method for every room that you have smart lights in. This ensures that you always have a way to control your lights manually, no matter where you are in your house. And that just about does it for my ultimate smart lighting beginner's guide. Hope you all found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content from me. Also, if anyone has additional tips or product recommendations or whatever, feel free to pop them down in the comments below. I'd love to hear them, and I'm sure everyone else would too. Otherwise, that's about it for this video, and I'll see y'all next time.